Mistakes to avoid for LLC owners. Now, if you are brand new to business or if you're planning on starting your LLC from scratch, and this is going to be the video that you are going to want to watch and possibly more than one time because it's going to save you a fortune in the long run if you do this the right way, especially if your goal is to keep your business as simple as possible and build business credit along the way, which is something we talk a whole lot about in this channel. So, the first costly mistake that I want you to pay close attention to is setting up your business or your LLC rather in the wrong state. Here's why. Many small business owners, when they're starting out, they think that they should form their LLC in one of these states, Delaware, Nevada, or Wyoming, simply because they heard that it's maybe cheaper to start their business in one of those states. It's better for taxes, or they want privacy, like anonymity. And there's nothing wrong with that. But most people starting out should actually form their business where they're actually conducting business. And so, an example of that is if you're starting a business and your business is located in Florida, then odds are your main entity, which in this case is the LLC, should be formed in Florida. That's where the LLC is going to be originally formed. Where most people miss the mark, though, is they think that just because they have an LLC that they formed in maybe Delaware or in Wyoming or maybe one of these tax haven states, is that's where like the bus ride ends. But that's actually where it starts because you now have to set up two entities, so to speak. So you have your main domestic entity, which is in Delaware in this example. And then you have your foreign entity, which is the secondary of where you're actually conducting business. The reason why this is because you have to be able to show to the IRS if and when you're audited, hey, where do you actually conduct business? It's not enough to just say, hey, this is where my business is formed, but I do business in this state, so I'm covered. No, no, you now have to have a foreign entity in place and you have to have the domestic entity in place. So to kind of just cut right through the noise, you can do that and just bypass it by just forming the entity in the business where you're going to be practicing business in. Now, again, for a best practice, if you have an actual legal or tax advantage that you have someone walking you through, then it's usually best, in my opinion, based off of all the clients that we work with, to just form your entity where you're actually going to live and do business. Mistake numero dos. Number two, it's you're not getting an EIN. So you're going through the motions of registering the business, but you're not following it up with the most important piece, which is the employer identification number. This is what you're going to use to file taxes. This is what you're going to use for payroll once you start scaling your team and your operations. This is what you're going to use to open up your business bank account. And then this is also what you're going to do, or what you're going to use to apply for things like business credit, which we talk a whole lot about in this channel. The reason why this is important is because the EIN is, I want you to see it kind of like the social security number for the business. So the same way that you use your social security number whenever you have a job application that you're putting on, or if you're applying for credit, you have a credit application, you're applying for a mortgage, you're maybe going out, you're purchasing a new vehicle, like whatever it is, you obviously know that you're using your social for just about everything. It's the same thing, but it's the EIN for the business. So one rule of thumb that I want you to follow is debt is going to follow the EIN. And so the best way for you to scale your business capital once you start working into the business credit landscape and you start using the bank's money on behalf of the business versus your own personal funds is you have to use your EIN so that the same way that you built up your own personal borrowing history through your social, aka your personal credit, it's the same thing that happens on the business side. And don't let anyone tell you that it's going to cost you a fortune to set it up. It's literally free right on irs.gov. And most of these third-party services, if you are going to use them, it's an additional fee if you wanted them to go ahead and take care of it for you. But if you wanted to get yourself an EIN, I wouldn't delay this. I would do this as soon as I register my business in my state. Mistake number three is you're using your personal address instead of a business address for the business. And most people end up opening up an LLC and they end up using a home address without realizing that it's actually hurting them in the long run. And so you actually end up losing privacy through the LLC, which is obviously why you set it up to begin with. You wanted to separate your personal finances, your personal liabilities from the business, which is why you set it up, which is why you set up the limited liability company. And then lenders and vendors, they're also going to look at a business address more seriously than a home address. Now, can I make a complete argument that you can still use a home address to get access to things like business credit lines? 100%. We see it all the time. But if you are anyone like me and you want to be reserved, you want to obviously keep everything dialed in, you want to be protected, you don't want anyone knowing where you live. Like, you want business to be business. So if you have like a weird interaction with someone out there and they end up looking your business up because this is all public information, and they end up seeing, oh, wait a minute, like this is the home address. Oh, wait a minute, this is owner managed. So this is their address. Like, you see where I'm going with it, right? It's better to put into place having a business address that's separate if your whole goal is privacy, because privacy is important. And so there's two things that you can do. You can either set up a brick and mortar address. So if you have a physical store location, voila, like you've officially completed that privacy measure. But if you maybe don't have the finances right now, if maybe you're just starting out and you don't have the finances to swing an entire lease, maybe a unit, because that can become pretty costly, a couple $1,000 a month, then you can use what's called a virtual office address service. It ranges, it's going to depend on the state, how good of a location you're getting. It can range anywhere between 50 to $150 a month. But the cool thing about this is that you're getting a legit business address so that you can receive mail on there. You can use that on business credit line applications. You can use it to build up your business accounts. You can also use it on your website. And that way, you're also getting that safe haven of protection, which we just finished breaking down. Mistake number 4 is you're skipping the business bank account. This is one of the biggest mistakes, if not the biggest on the list, which is why I wanted to put it on here. And this is where business owners end up mixing their personal funds with their business funds. And this actually ends up destroying like the structure that you're building, which is that legal or that limited liability part of the LLC. That's gone because you end up doing what's called piercing a corporate veil when you're commingling your personal funds and your business funds inside of the same account. And so at this point of the process, opening up a business bank account is going to be a must because you want to start separating those finances. And then it also allows you to start building out a what we call a business relationship with banks, with credit unions, and you end up getting what's called an internal banking score. Some refer to it as a bank rating. Now, the higher that score is internally with the banks, it helps you get access to capital on behalf of the LLC later on down the road. The sooner you open up your business bank account, I would venture to say, as soon as you get your EIN in the mail and as soon as you get your LLC in the mail, that would be the perfect time to go walk right into the bank and open up your business bank account. And you can go ahead and deposit the minimum. So this way you can start building out that partnership with that bank or with that credit union sooner rather than later. And it's going to start paying dividends because that relationship begins to compound. And then mistake number 5 is you're ignoring the business credit agencies and the business profiles. The same way that your personal credit has a profile, so Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you know what I'm talking about, that 300 to 850 credit score, it's going to happen the same way, but on the business side, because your business is its own person. Remember, it has its own name, it has its own bank account, it has its own EIN, aka social, it has its own address. And so there's 3 main agencies that you want to pay attention to, which is Dun & Bradstreet, probably the most popular one that you'll see across the board. But you also have Experian Business, the same way that they are on the personal side, they're on the business side. And then you have Equifax Business. Now, lenders, especially right now in this day and age, in this economy, they are diving deep into business credit reports and business credit ratings. So they're taking a look at 2 different profiles. They're taking a look at the owner profile, which you should already have. That is your personal credit score. But then they're also taking a look at the business credit score. Same thing that I told you about, hey, setting up your business bank account sooner rather than later is the same thing that I'm going to tell you with setting up and starting to monitor your business credit reports. So in the event there's something on there that shouldn't be reporting, or maybe there's some content or some information that you want to fix, you can jump on that. My recommendation of what I usually tell clients is you want to monitor it at least once a month, at bare minimum, once a quarter. However, if you're going into what we call a season where you're going to start building your access to business capital, you're going to start getting some business funding, then we like to put it into 1-week timelines, because that way we're able to underwrite and shoot quicker. Hey, if there's a mistake or if there's something that needs to be fixed on the business credit profile, you're able to catch it, mix it, or you're able to catch it, fix it, and then obviously move on from there. And then lastly, when it comes to best practices, is you want to have a healthy credit mix specific to your business. We like to have a mix of vendor accounts and also financial accounts. So this way you're building out not just your business credit scores, but then you're also building up your business credit ratings, which we also have videos on in this channel. So there you have it. If you found value in this content, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Consider sharing it with an entrepreneur who is starting to build out their LLC from scratch. But other than that, you guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye.